Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the African American Museum and Library at Oakland. AMLO is a research institution that focuses on African American history. We're located at 659 14th Street in the city of Oakland, and we welcome you today to the world of AI, part two, using artificial intelligence to empower people to build up better communities. And with that, we have today Ethan Berry, who is the founder and CEO of CivicRus, and we're going to turn this over to him.
Okay, well, thank you, Marco. I appreciate it. I appreciate Yolanda being present, and hopefully we can get this started. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions, and I will answer them. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can you see my whole screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yes.
because I just want to make sure, because sometimes it shows up differently on my side. So this discussion is going to be about getting a little bit more into how the AI technology can be used to empower the people. And what I mean by that is traditionally, software companies make software for their benefit. And we decided to together, myself and my team, to create software power to kind of counter that. Um, it's not so much a counterculture because we still have to make money in order to sustain the business and keep people engaged in the software platform. But it's different in the fact that it allows people to gain information about the corporations, about the municipalities, about the process and procedures of different types of city, state, county ordinances, laws, public policies. And this is all the foundation for teaching and educating people on civics and civic engagement, because now more than ever we find ourselves in a very uh, ironic place in that we're fighting for our civil rights, mainly to vote all over again. Um, so um, as I go through the presentation, I will answer any questions that you have. All you have to do is raise your hand. Marco, is it a button for them to raise their hand?
Let's see. There should be a feature on here. Yes. Let's see.
Well, if you can't raise your hand, we'll just do the questions at the
Yeah,
end.
just put them in the chat.
Just put them in the chat.
And she says it's in her reaction, so she can see it.
Okay. All right. So, Marco, I'll depend on you to tell me what's in the chat at any point while I'm doing the presentation.
All right.
Okay. So, if there's any questions in the chat right now, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to continue. So,
Yeah, go ahead. There's no questions yet.
okay. So, we want to create a platform that puts the power in the hands of the people so that they can be more engaged with their civic leaders, their politicians, their pastors, their county um, their school district. It's really about using AI to communicate better. And by communicating better, we can solve problems faster because oftentimes the same problem exists in another school or for another person that's trying to get a building permit, say for instance, or start a business. And when you can answer those questions in batches instead of one at a time, it lends itself to more efficiency for both the citizens in the community and for the municipalities like City Hall. Okay. The journey to having an AI empowered city is not a easy one. We have all seen all of the marketing and promotion of how AI is going to change the world. And we know about a lot of companies laying off people to use robots to do repetitive tasks that the humans used to do. And with that, um, as human beings, we need to kind of begin thinking about how we want to put laws around the use of AI so that it is not taking our jobs, it's not replacing our incomes, it's not replacing how we live in a negative way. What we want AI to be is a tool that helps human centered goals thrive in every aspect of life. Okay. Um, Another point is the foundation of a smart city architecture should serve the people, it shouldn't serve corporations. And that's what we're kind of up against because the Supreme Court has found that corporations are people, but really not, because the corporation is a business entity. It doesn't have a soul. People work for the corporations. People own the corporation, but the corporation itself is not a flesh and blood human being, but they decided to give corporations rights as if they were. And more people need to understand this so that we can, again, start thinking about laws that can govern the use of AI technology to make sure that all human beings are thriving in every aspect of life. The next point is kind of explaining the engine that runs the whole AI concept. And I'm going to do it briefly in this slide, but I'll go into more detail later on in another slide, another two slides, I think. So the engine of AI should be a tool for empowerment, not a tool for replacement. And the tool itself is nothing more than hardware and software. The software part of it is a program that people, human beings, wrote to mostly do certain repetitive tasks as well as answer questions as if you're having a conversation with it. And those are the two aspects that most people are familiar with. But AI can be used for so much more. And we don't find corporations out there building those tools to allow for every person to have a thriving life in spite of AI technology being you know, implemented across the nation and across the world. So the engine being just simply software and hardware, again, that people created. Um, it's only as good as the people who created it, as the people who wrote the program, as the people who tested the program. There are certain metrics that um, these companies try to achieve. And in some situations, the metrics that would help people of color, particularly Black people, aren't included. And there's been ongoing ethical, moral discussions about how that should be implemented in any AI implementation. But again, there's no laws around it. So there's still nothing that holds these software companies, these hardware companies accountable. And that's what we want to get to. Um, if we can get to that, the result would be building and strengthening communities, building up communities, new communities, using the technology and strengthening existing communities with the technology. And we'll talk more about that in the next slides as well. Our call to action is, wait a minute, I got to go back into the slide. Our call to action is to build these communities with the participation of all stakeholders. And forgive me for a second, I have to go back in the slide. So let me start back over. So our call to action is to co-create the future. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. The ultimate goal is a life of fulfillment for every human in every city and town across the United States. How do you achieve that? Well, a few points I've listed here: health and well-being, personalized healthcare, mental wellness, accessible fitness. A lot of people are dealing with having their Medicaid healthcare taken from them, and the politicians don't seem to understand what that means. Some politicians. Well, if you need physical therapy to maintain a life of fulfillment and they take that away from you, that means that you're going to slowly decline and your health is going to get worse and worse, and eventually you'll die. We don't want that to actually be the end goal for the use of AI. But if we don't fight for the laws to be put around it, that's what it will be. Mobility and connectivity is another goal. Sustainable and seamless transportation. I'm sure everyone has seen the self-driving cars on television. And if you've ever gone to San Francisco, where they have the pilot program in full force. You've seen self-driving cars. They're picking up passengers and taking them where they need to go. And all of this, all of this is done through smart cities. Okay, they have specialized technology to help the cars be able to navigate the roads, avoid accidents, um, know who they're supposed to pick up, take them to their destination, drop them off, collect the fare, and go do all of that over again with the next person that, you know, has called in for a ride, for transportation somewhere within the city limits of San Francisco. So that's a wonderful thing. However, think about all of the people that that technology is putting out of business, and the moral and ethical aspect of how do we maintain using the technology that AI gives us and still allowing people to have access to an honest day's work with an honest day's pay so that they can live a fulfilled life. Just something to think about. The economic opportunities. Lifelong learning and entrepreneurial support is something that only the governments can provide, and foundations, um, other nonprofits that are well funded can provide that financial support that's needed to be entrepreneurial, or a person uses their own funds to be entrepreneurial. Because the facts are that in order to innovate off of existing technology or create new technology, you need equipment for your own lab. You're going to test things. So the materials are going to cost you money. Um, the power that you use at the facility or location that you're doing all this innovation at, it's going to cost you money for PG&E, electricity, gas, depending on what your invention is. And we have to understand, for the long term of lifelong learning and entrepreneurial support, what are the laws that need to be put in place for those things to even exist, let alone be sustainable, when we have such dominance by so few companies in the AI space? Um, you may not know, or you may know, that the valuations of some companies are in the trillions of dollars now. NVIDIA, for instance, I think they're being touted to be heading toward 8 trillion, be worth $8 trillion on the open stock market. Now, that doesn't mean they have 8 trillion in cash, but that's how much they're worth from the investments that people have invested in their company and their company's mission. And those companies' missions will affect us, the ordinary, everyday worker who, may be making modest amounts of money, let's say between 150 and $300,000. They will do okay. But if you're making under $150,000, then all of this means that you're going to be pushed out of the workforce in some way or fashion if AI can take over the functions that you do on your job. And should we allow that to happen? I don't think so. So these are the types of things that, although they sound good, they have an intended effect of displacing millions of workers. I was just watching a newscast yesterday, and they were talking about over 1 million job cuts for the first 10 months of 2025. It's a new record. I think the old record was 500,000 and something, or 600,000 and something. But over 1 million job cuts, and they're not through making job cuts. So where do these people who now have had their jobs cut go for employment? Because they still have bills, they still have kids still need to eat and go to school, they still need to have a home to live in and their home mortgage. Um, they still need to eat. Um, Food prices have increased. All of these things are goals for AI, but we need to start discussing them in terms of real life instead of the panacea that is being marketed and promoted about all of the wonderful things you can enter an engineering prompt into AI program and get, you know, a whole paper written for you, or how you can use a 3D printer and build a 3D doll. Those things are wonderful, but those things also have a human cost to them that we need to pay attention to. When it gets right down to it, the foundation of a smart city needs to be, this is my own personal opinion, it needs to be a city that listens to its population, its citizens, and learns from them to be able to make rapid changes to how business is done in the city. And the way AI is set up, there's like maybe 12, 15 layers. I've only listed 4 layers here just to keep it simple. Um, Connected infrastructure, meaning that all of the technology is able to talk to each other. Um, Central AI hub, meaning that there are locations within the city that the data that's being collected from all over the city is being stored for use to do data analytics on and improve city uh, support services, improve city outcomes on metrics that they may have, including budgets. Um, Another layer is the digital public platforms, which would be the interfaces to the citizens in the city. How would they actually engage with the platforms and be able to communicate with their civic leaders, whether they're city council members, the mayor's office, um, uh, the county services, the district attorney's office, the hospitals in the city, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and I want to make sure I include the school district because having those types of communication channels that can help resolve any issues that may come up within the city more efficiently, with more people becoming involved in that decision process because they're all connected through the human interface, I believe will build better communities and therefore better and smarter cities. This is one of the things that is really kind of on the forefront of what they market and promote for AI. Um, Personalized learning. AI can be tutors for skills, learning skills that maybe students need help with. Um, we can use the example of reading and writing at grade level. Instead of having a kid sit in front of a computer game and that's all they get, um, we can have interactive virtual um, learning spaces where actual tutors who could be teachers or students that have gone through the grade of the student that they're tutoring already and did well, um, to professors in that curriculum actually being available from anywhere to help tutor the student. That's something that hasn't been tried before. And I would love to be able to try that because what I'm thinking is you can match the student with the tutor better so that the communication and the culture is matched up. And that's important because of the biases, the natural biases that we have, just growing up in America. And I don't want to go into all the social science stuff, but we all know America has, a lot of, biases born out of the slave trade that we're still dealing with. They even have um, black codes, I think they're called, where in some states, some counties, some cities across the United States, they're still on the books where, um, if you're black, you better be out of town before the sun goes down. They call that the sundown law. And I laugh, but it's not funny. Proactive health services. There are a ton of technologies with predictive wearables that monitor your stress level, your blood pressure, how much you've eaten, how much you've exercised. And right now, that data goes to a corporation, the corporation that made the device. A user can choose to allow that information to go to that corporation, and that corporation then use data analytics on it to sell to, maybe um, a pharmaceutical company or a biotech company who makes drugs for certain types of um, human illnesses. Um, what if that data can be used by the county to come up with better ideas and better plans to serve the community so that the health issues will be addressed before they get to the point where a person needs to be in a hospital? Just what if? That's millions, if not billions of dollars saved that can be used to help in other areas of achieving the goal of living a life of fulfillment. Um, Mobility as a service, unified trip planning was something that I put in here because I wanted to talk about how exposing youth to different areas outside of their zip code is paramount to lighting the fire within them to have the intrinsic motivation to learn. Um, I'm not a psychologist or a mental health professional, so I can't speak on this issue in those terms, but I can tell you providing the tutoring, mentoring, life skills training programs to youth and taking them on trips to corporations who have campuses as large as universities, and them getting an idea of what it would be like to work at a company like that. I saw the eyes in children's light up. I saw the intrinsic motivation be born within them. And the goal is to keep that fire growing in all children. If a child has a role model at home who happens to be a doctor or a lawyer or a business person that can teach them these things at home, then they're way ahead of the game in terms of their education, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to know that they need to learn these skills so they can be able to go on in life and achieve their goals. And a lot of this is also helping the child, the youth, the adult set goals for themselves based off of concrete, verifiable knowledge and understanding of what's available to them. Because a lot of times, if they can't see it, they don't believe it. And so we have to do better in that. And another area is civic participation. Understanding civic engagement um, and civics itself is fundamentally one of the biggest problems that we have in America, in every town and city, in every county, in every state, and every territory in the United States of America. And what we want to do is improve that. It's going to take some time and it's going to take a lot of effort, because I've talked to my family members and they've said things to me like, hey, I don't want to vote because it doesn't matter. I'm, I'm shaking my head like, why do you think it doesn't matter? And their retort is invariably because nothing changes. It's a vicious circle because nothing changes because you don't learn how to engage civically to vote for the change to happen. But another one of the things that we have to look at using AI on, which I've already mentioned, is better outcomes for students using reading, writing, and understanding as an example. We have to produce students that can read, write, both in print and in cursive, and comprehend what they're reading and writing at grade level. So they can compete globally. Right now, there's a big debate on using people from other countries to come into the United States to fill job positions because the people graduating from universities, the people graduating from junior colleges, the people graduating from high schools in the United States of America simply don't have the ability. And that's sad. But AI could be something that can change all that. And that's another one of the projects that we hope to bring to um, the city of Oakland and other cities to improve student outcomes by helping them be able to read, write, and comprehend at grade level. Um, if they can learn that superpower, reading, writing, and comprehending what they read and write at grade level, it will follow them all the way through their education and life. It will avail them to be able to understand how laws are made, what the law's intents are, and whether or not that law and or public policy um, is good for them or not. So this is a big piece of what CivicRus is going to be working on to bring to life as an application to help students improve their reading, writing, and comprehension skills at grade level. Before I mentioned the technology in a smart cities infrastructure, um, and it's a lot of different technologies. One of the things is there's many different layers, and um, let me see if I can blow this up. Yeah, I can blow this up. If you can see this, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So over on the left, I've broken it up into four different layers. Starting from the top is the cloud layer. That's where all of the connections are made and data is sent and received from the cloud. Uh, Beneath the cloud layer is the fog layer. And the fog layer is simply all of the devices and additional software for those devices that is needed to um, build a smart city. Um, and I'll use an example of for transportation, they have cameras on the transportation buses, cabs, vehicles, and those cameras have GPS in them. Those are examples of devices and software that would be in the fog layer. Okay. Then there's the user layer. And the user layer is simply what it's called. It's how the user interfaces with the fog layer and requests services or information um, that's sent from the device that they're using, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop computer. And then another layer is, I can't see it because I got it covered up, the application layer on the bottom. And that is what the users engage with. And the application layer then sends information to the fog layer, then the fog layer sends information to the cloud, and then the cloud responds to the fog layer and responds to the user through the application layer. So I want to be able to explain that in a little bit more layman terms on a technical level so that you can see that this isn't magic. This isn't artificial intelligence at all. This is a bunch of computers, a bunch of technical devices specifically designed to capture specialized data, whether it's cameras, whether it's GPS location monitors, whether it's um, infrared uh, devices to calculate how much speed a vehicle is going at. Um, those devices make up this fog layer. And the applications make up what the user interfaces with. The user doesn't interface directly with the fog layer or the cloud layer. The user interfaces with the application layer. And then the application then in turns communicates with the fog layer and the cloud layer. I hope I made that a little bit easier to understand. But we're going to get into a lot of the technical aspects of AI later on in the
So,
event series.
so Yolanda also had a comment. She's saying, I'm almost sure that intellectual capacity is there, but we're doing education from a broken system that sets up for failure.
I agree with that. And using AI is what we need to start from the ground up and build a new method. I totally agree with you
Um,
on that.
yeah, I just wanted to say, so I actually am a teacher. I've been teaching for more than 25 years. And I've been actually intentionally teaching at public and charter schools that are high turnover, very low performing, just to enhance my practices as an educational practitioner. I teach English language development. I also teach robotics, and environmental sustainability, and intro to engineering design. But I just wanted to pop in to say that because the education system that we've been in hasn't changed much. So I do totally agree that AI is actually a really great move, but it also we we kind of just need to go back to freedom schools. But then that's another conversation. These big old schools that we have our kids in, that's another part of the problem. Low teacher pay is a part of the problem. um, it's really um, it's really like a stew of failures.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It was set up to fail from the start.
I don't know what just happened. I'm sorry.
Oh, nothing happened. You were talking, and then you were quiet for a
Yeah,
couple.
it was I got disconnected, but my point is this: it's a stew of problems that we have in the education system. Just saying, as an educator who has been housing insecure almost since I've been a teacher. So if you have, and we got layers of issues that can only really be solved with community oriented schooling, and on a micro level, instead of the large schools we have. But I just wanted to pop in and say that because I truly agree with you. And also, we have some systemic issues. Our children are intelligent. They really are. I have taught from pre-K to 12th grade, and now I teach adult school in Hayward. I'm moved here from DC. I just moved here in July, and what I've seen across this country is our students are not being engaged in the way they need to be engaged. And that's, like I said, another conversation. But I just wanted to add that in. AI is definitely the answer to revising the way we teach children, and also the way teachers learn as well.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because the pedagogy that they teach teachers with is outdated.
Yeah, it hasn't changed since I was a child. Teachers still expect children to be quiet. They still have them in chairs facing toward the front. It's remarkable to me to see that, that structure is is ubiquitous in schools. I've taught in DC, Dallas, Durham, North Carolina, and I've taught in two countries in the Gulf, in the Arabian Gulf. And I see it's a pattern. It's a pattern, a lackadaisical pattern of designing instruction that actually is never meant to engage our children on a level that children in other countries are being engaged at.
And I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that as a company we want to establish is that we're nonpartisan. We look at these problems as simply problems for the human beings in America, period, full stop. The arguments for education in politics are so whack that it doesn't even make any sense anymore. I follow politics to make sure that as we build our AI products and services, that we filter the biases that keep us from evolving our education system, that keep us left behind. Because I don't care if you are poor Black, poor Caucasian, poor Asian, you're going to be in the same boat. The only difference is culturally, Asians, Caucasians have developed systems whereby they help their communities by working together. And it's not, how can I say this, an incestuous situation. In the African American culture, it becomes more of an incestuous situation because we have legacy programs that have been in existence since the 50s and 60s. And perhaps that's why some things need to change. Because if you have new voices at the table, you'll get new ideas. So I'd like for you to share your name and your contact information in the chat, and I can get it from this presentation, and I'll give you a call because I think you're the perfect person for us to collaborate with so that we can build better. And by the way, do you work in the Oakland Unified School District, or you want to decline to say?
Actually, I work for HUSD right now. I did apply when I first came here, and I live in
Okay.
Oakland. I live in Longfellow.
Okay.
Um, so I do want to work in Oakland, but when I first got here, it was just the process. I really needed a job, and there was just a lot of the processes that were pretty slow. And I wasn't getting the traction I needed. So I just went to HUSD, but I did put my information in the chat.
Okay.
I actually just did the request for information that Oakland did, the city of Oakland for an AI solution. And
Okay.
I did submit one to them. So I would really love to talk to you about what I'm developing because I actually am doing reclamation, so reclaiming old hardware and actually making them into AI workstations for people.
Oh,
So
that's
you could
wonderful.
literally, and I want to get into manufacturing CPUs. So I've
Uh-huh.
been doing a lot of studying around that and stuff like that. So that's why I came because I'm very interested in just taking some of the expertise that I've gained by working with Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering
Right.
organization.
I
I
know
don't know
what,
if you're familiar with them.
yes, I am.
Yeah, I got certified with them with through environmental sustainability. So I taught that in DC and also started farming in DC. So that's another thing I'm interested in doing here. But making it to where young people can learn, um, right there on the spot in the community where they live, about the plants that grow here, the herbs that actually can help us to sustain ourselves. All of what you're talking about is, I'm really pretty excited because I would like to work with some people who want to solve these issues because we really do not have to sit back and be scared of AI
No, we don't.
because we can use it to our advantage. There's so much that we can do with AI. So I'm just excited to be here, and I apologize for taking you off of your script. I just
No,
wanted to make
no.
sure I said
This is part of
something.
the script. This is exactly what I wanted. Uh, when we have the opportunity to have a intimate discussion, I definitely want to take advantage of that because I think we get more out of the discussion than we do out of just the presentation. And so, um, no, I'm glad you spoke up. That's what we want. In addition to what you just said, I am also interested in farming. And I'll share some of that with you when we talk, because there used to be more Black farmers. So we had ways to get food to eat, right? And that's how we were sustaining ourselves. Now there are very few Black farmers all over the country, including California. And the farms, the farmers that do exist, they're growing crops to sell out of the state and invariably out of the country, like soybeans. So we have to get back to self-sustainability on every level, is where I'm going with this, from growing our own food, having our own markets, building our own solutions. We can't wait for them to come up with a solution for us. And that's why when you said that a lot of things haven't changed over the years in the school system, I immediately jumped in on that, because you're right. That's one of the things that AI will allow us to do. And I would love to talk to you more about all of this offline. So thank you for jumping in.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. I'm gonna let you go back to what you're doing.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
No problem.
Because in
No problem.
DC we are farming, we farm all year round and we don't have the kind of weather y'all have. So
Right.
it's really I'm excited. Anyway, I, I'm quiet now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. The next slide um, goes into the technology a little bit more. It kind of explains each layer that I showed in my presentation. But again, these are not all of the layers. So it talks about the fog layer, refers to decentralized computing infrastructure located between the data generating Internet of Things, devices, the edge, and the centralized cloud data centers. Its primary function is to perform data processing, analysis, and storage closer to the source of the data, thereby reducing the latency and bandwidth consumption and enabling real-time decision-making for the time-sensitive smart city applications. So that paragraph mentioned a couple of things that I want to break down. IoT is a term that blossomed maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and it stands for the Internet of Things. And the purpose was to build devices that could be used at the edges. And let me explain what the edge is in terms of smart cities. The edges are when people get off the bus, when people walk home to their community, when people leave home. Do they drive their own car, or do they walk back to the bus stop and take the bus? Um, the IoT devices will give up that GPS location data and the actual direction that the person is either walking or driving in, and they can make an intelligent guess on the intent of the user, whether they were intending on going to the bus stop or driving themselves based off of that data. Okay. Um, these technical terms are not as important as the big picture. But I felt if you knew about these layers, it would help demystify the smart city concept. Now, one of the concerns that I have with no laws being around any of this AI technology right now in the United States is that your personal civil rights are being violated. When someone can track you all day, and they do that already with these smartphones. So it's not like it's anything new at this point. But I believe if people were made more aware of exactly how this data is being used to control not only what people market to you, but the information that you receive to make up your mind or make a decision on things like what store are you going to go to buy your groceries? What candidate are you going to vote for during, an election? Social engineering plays a huge role in AI. And what I'm saying is not controversial at all, but what I'm about to say might be. I don't think it should be, but being an AI automation robotics company, our mission is to provide products and services that put power back into the hands of the citizenry instead of being sold off by big corporations who go in and lobby politicians to make laws that benefit them. That's a very, very important part of the entire conversation. To have more citizens be civically educated and learned how to engage to help shape or create new public policy to then present to the politicians to become laws that will affect the citizenry better than it will the corporation. After all, it's the citizenry, tax dollars, that's running everything. And there is such a thing in the Constitution that prohibits what's called taxation without representation. But if you give up your representation, that's just you. That's on you. So what we're hoping to do is get more people excited about using AI for moral, ethic, good, and not just making money, not just making individual multi-billionaires. It's okay to make money. We need money to live. But right now we're being taken advantage of. So just wanted to throw that in there. And the next event, we'll get even deeper into the technology, but I wanted to throw some technology in here to kind of prepare for the next event, because the more we know, the better we can get things done. Okay, so this is another example of the smart city infrastructure. I'm showing this green area over here. It's got 6 layers. I'm showing the financing of the smart city infrastructure down here. Wait a minute. Well, there we go. I'm showing that down here just to give you an idea. Can you see the whole screen? Just to give you an idea of what parts of the city's infrastructure will have to come up with some sort of financing to help support a pilot project, let's just say, to improve a particular problem from a particular department or agency, so that we can really hone in on coming up with some great ideas that will transform the city by building better together. Again, the guiding principles, technologies in service of humanity. So we got transparency and explainability, protect our privacy, algorithmic fairness, always have a human in the loop, because what corporations are trying to do is take humans out of the loop. And by doing so, when you call to complain or need some help or need to return something, there's no human being there to override what they've already programmed the robot or the kiosk to allow you to do. That's control. That's manipulation. So we always need to demand that there's a human in the loop. And we have to have universal access. We cannot prevent some people from using AI. Everybody should have a right to use the AI services that a city, a county, a state implements. But there's been one overriding theme that I've been talking about through this whole presentation, and that is, as we learn more about smart cities and the AI technology that is eventually going to be implemented within smart cities, that we learn about these things so that we can demand that laws be passed to protect our privacy, make sure it's transparent, make sure that the algorithms used in the AI software itself aren't so biased that it totally prejudices groups of people, and that there always has to be a human in the loop to make sure that the AI algorithms are constantly being reinforced by humans that understand the biases that need to be corrected, whether they're racial biases, food biases, housing biases, education biases, whatever. And that universal access allows more people to participate in the civics learning and education, as well as the civics engagement, which gives people back the power to demand that their best interests be served instead of corporations. This is almost at the end here. And this is just, kind of a slogan that we came up with. The future is not something we enter. It's something we create. And I want you to think about that and just let that settle in. Hopefully you'll come to the next event on, I believe it's December 13th, Saturday, December 13th. And I don't know if it's listed in the AMLO events yet, but I'm sure Vita and Marco will handle that. And the question is, how can AI serve your community? How can AI serve my community? How can AI serve me? And that's what we want to, be able to have a small discussion about on the next event date, December 13th, 2025. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I definitely will be at the next one, and I'm gonna try to bring some people with me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Um, I'll get your contact information that you put it in the chat, right?
I did.
Okay, I'll get your contact information from Marco, and we'll be in touch next week. I'll reach out to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend. Y'all have a great week.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Marco.
All right.
All right,
All
talk
right,
to you
take
later.
care. All
All
right.
right, bye-bye.